Hey Coyotes, welcome to lab number 3, Form 7.1 Sprinting Horizontal Power. I just wanted to give you a quick example how to do your lab for this week, give you that little extra help kind of at the end of the week, making sure you guys kind of know what you're doing with this. So hopefully by now you kind of figured out what's going on after you've looked at the lecture video, you read the lab manual. It's pretty self-explanatory on the concept of what you need to do for this. However, it's a lot of just kind of filling in the blanks. So let's go ahead and just kind of give one example, and then you guys should be able to be good to kind of finish the lab on your own and kind of double check your work. So first thing we need to do is we need to get our numbers in a little bit better working order. So we're going to take our kilograms and we are going to convert from kilograms into newtons. And if you remember the conversion, we need to multiply it by 9.8067. It's hard to write with a mouse. So if we do a little easy math, and I have my calculator right here handy to do it with, we're going to take 85 and we're going to multiply it by 9.8067, which gives us 833. $833.5, so I'm going to round up and just get 834 on this. And there we go, 834. From there, we need to kind of talk about our time trial. So we're not dealing with a 40, 50, 60 meter. We're dealing with yards. And that's important to figure out first and foremost, because we're going to have to do a little more converting to get everything into the metric system. So for this first trial, and remember this can all be done simultaneously. So as we're setting up our testing, we could have, this would be the start, this could be the 40, the 50, and then the 60. I think for your guys' lab this time around, I just have the two filled out. So you're going to be calculating a 40 and a 50 on the trial. So for their first trial, they hit 55.52. Trying to think and write with this mouse. One of these days I'll invest in a tablet. For trial 2, they hit 5.62. And then remember kind of the rule, if we are within 0.20 seconds, we don't need to do a third trial. And you can see we are well underneath that. For the 50, they hit a 6.84 and a 6.96, again under the 0.20 mark. To figure out our means, we are going to do a little bit of an addition. So we're working with 2 numbers, and that's going to be important with figuring out the mean. So we were going to add those up, the 5.52 plus the 5.62, and then we divide by 2, or how many numbers we're working with. So I don't know why I wrote the second numbers. I think I just was trying to explain what we're doing on our homework this week, but for our example, I'm just going to do the first one. So let's go ahead and do this, add it up with my little handy dandy calculator. So 5.52 plus 5.62, what do we get? 11.14 divided by 2, and there we go. Our mean average seconds is 5.57. So go ahead and write 5.57, and we're off to the races. So remember when I said we need to figure out that we are working in yards, because this is where this is going to come in handy. This is a big hint. I give you guys a little hint right here. So we need to convert from yards into meters. So this is straight taking these numbers and converting them over. So if we, again, do a little bit of multiplication and take our 40 and then multiply it by 0.914, we should get 36.6. So let's go ahead and write it in. 36.6. And remember what our seconds were from before, which are 5.57. So we are going to write 5.57. And then from there, we can kind of figure out our meters per second right there. So our speed of what we're doing, which if we go ahead and do that, simple math of 36.6 divided by 5.57, we get this number, this long old number here. So we're only going to just go to the 100th place on this. So 6.57. 6.57. So 6.57. And now we have the speed. So now we need to just fill and go. So we know what the newtons are now. We have our meters per second, and that way we can figure out our watts. So go back. We have our newtons of 834. 834. And we know what our meters per second, which are 6.57. And if we do our simple math for that one, 834 times 6.57, we get a big, large number. And remember, we're dealing with watts, so that number kind of makes sense intuitively. So 547, 5,479. $5,479. And pretty much that is it for a Lab 3. You can see there's a lot. It's just kind of paying attention with the units. It's not really difficult to kind of do this one. And then from there, you go down, and there's two different kind of nomenclatures that we're kind of basing things off of: the non-athlete versus the athlete in the 40-yard sprints. So go ahead and go down, and you guys can do this on your own. It's table 7.3, which is in your PowerPoint. And then you can just kind of find the categories or the classifications and then report it that way.